Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we continue our comic book movie journey through film with The Amazing Spider-Man. It was released July 3rd, 2012. It was written for the screen by James Vanderbilt and Alvin Sargent, along with Steve Kloves, and directed by Mark Webb. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And back like he never left after a year-long hiatus from the pod, Blaine Rezach. What's up, homie?
What is up, you guys?
Oh, man, it is so good to have you back. It's been far too long.
Good to be here. It's good to talk Cape shit.
Oh, fucking love Cape shit, man. It's been a while. It was Batman 89. Last you appeared on our podcast, and I believe even that was prior to our appearances, respectively, on MCU on Repeat back when it was still going.
Ooh, yeah, that was Phil when I was doing. That was right when I was about to do DC stuff. For that.
Wow,
yes,
Batman 89 released February 24th.
Yeah,
that's when it released, and we were months ahead.
We were months ahead.
That
we were
time,
like November when we were recording.
That's crazy. And here we are.
It's been too long, guys. Too long.
And I'm glad to have you back, man. As always, since you are our guest, after all, we're going to ask for your opinion of the movie first. I know you're a big, big fan of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. How are you feeling fresh off this viewing?
Bro, Andrew Garfield is still my favorite Spider-Man. He just really embodies the character from the books that I read, and this movie holds a really special place in my heart. I'll say right off the bat, this is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I've seen this more times than I can count. You could probably show me a scene from either this one or even the second one, and I could probably tell you, you could play an audio clip, and I can tell you what happens, where it is in the movie, who's in it, everything. I can almost quote this movie probably front to back. It came out at a time when I was a sophomore in high school, so I was the age demographic of what Peter Parker was for this movie. I'm granted, Andrew Garfield was 27 when he did this movie, 26, 27 when he did this. It was still he's a sophomore or junior in high school, and he's it's his powers and things like that. This movie is just everything to me. And it's a good origin story, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you. It took me far too long to get here. I recall I did get to see this back in 2012 in theaters. It was the first Spider-Man movie I ever saw on the big screen. I didn't watch any of Raimi's on the big screen. Of course, I was quite accustomed to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man come 2012. I grew up on those movies, but this movie has always held a special place for me. But I'm with you now, Blaine. I'm with you. I think this is my favorite Spider-Man movie.
It's just so different.
It is. It's wonderful, Joe. I know you're in a similar boat. You came to this realization about a month ago.
Yeah, I've been slowly shifting. I've always been on Team Tobey. He was my guy. I grew up with him. It is definitely the Spider-Man movie I've seen the most. Is the first one, and then the second one is probably the second movie I've seen the most, if not Revenge of the Sith or the first Star Wars. I don't know. I've lost track. But now that I've been aging and I've been just coming to realize, I've seen every Spider-Man that we've had offered to us. I know the man Andrew Garfield is. I love him as an actor. As just a person and actor, I like him the most out of any of the Spider-Men. And then now he is my favorite Spider-Man. out of all of them as well. And I feel like you tell myself that like 2 years ago, and I would like say it's sacrilegious to like go against Tobey Maguire. Like that's just the guy, that he's just the OG. But Andrew just has something different about it. Like he just has the actual emotional weight, along with being the perfect Peter Parker and Spider-Man combo. Like he just does both roles so well. That I don't know. Like I think Tobey and Tom Holland, they have their strengths. Like I think Tom Holland plays a better Peter than Tobey Maguire, and Tobey Maguire plays a better in-suit Spider-Man. But I think Andrew Garfield plays a better both sides of the coin than both of them.
Well, I mean, I'm of the mind Andrew Garfield's one of the best actors working presently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
just
big time.
All around extremely talented man. And I think that the reception of this movie initially is a big result of the big swing in the other direction. And it's not a huge swing in a different direction, but it definitely distinguishes itself to be a different set of movies from Raimi's. Obviously, it's interesting comparing Sam Raimi to anybody because he's just such a unique filmmaker in terms of the essence of his movies. It's like, it's hard to hold this up to Spider-Man 1 in any capacity beyond the character. But even so, I found myself much more moved by this movie than I ever really am in the Raimi trilogy. And I don't know, man. Emma Stone, I love Emma Stone. The fact that this movie provides us both, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man, the best Peter Parker, and the best love interest. Like that's a big thing too. Like
I
that's
agree.
nothing to scoff at.
It's because Mark Webb knows how to direct his actors so well on that like emotional level. Like if you've seen any of his other movies, like you can tell that he just puts so much care into how they like treat each other while like in character. Like the movie Gifted with Chris Evans, it's so emotional and so like heartfelt. Like that he can just like pull it out of his actors.
Yeah. And I mean, they did start dating like during, was it during filming? Or like, I mean, is this like,
it was like right after I think they started.
Yeah. So I mean that I'd say that they had chemistry. Obviously they dated for, what was it, 4 years or so. We were discussing off mic, I think. So yeah, they had the chemistry and yeah, they both knocked it out of the park. It was really a struggle to decide who I was going to go with for performance. I didn't know really which one I wanted to go with, and the logic I ended up going with at the end was they both did a phenomenal job, but Andrew just had more screen time and more to do as well. So I ended up going with with him for me.
Yeah, I was with you, Joe, for like the longest time, man. I was like thinking, Andrew's going to take performance, but I ultimately gave it to Emma Stone in the end because it's just after watching 3 movies of Kirsten Dunst, basically just being told to scream when she's on screen. She's always playing that damsel in distress, which isn't even the character of MJ. For the most part, all of those characteristics are actually like comic book Gwen Stacy. Like MJ's such a badass in the books, or at least the older ones. I haven't read any of the like newer ones in the like last 10 years, but like MJ is such a badass in a lot of the older books, and they gave all of like Gwen Stacy's characteristics to her version of Mary Jane. But in this version, Emma Stone just like comes in here and she just is like, she's definitely wearing like the pants in a relationship. She's
wearing the pants by wearing no pants at all as well. She's like rarely ever actually wearing pants.
Right. Yeah. And like she's dressing like
very well.
She pulls off those bangs like so nicely too.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm realizing back in 2012 when I was sitting in the theater that I was like, oh, Emma Stone.
I'm also falling
Andrew
in love
Garfield.
right now with you, Andrew Garfield. This is a long childhood crush of mine, Emma Stone. Natalie Portman, just from the Star Wars franchise. I got Emma Stone from the Marvel franchise. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I just have a couple childhood crushes. This was one of them.
Oh, yeah. No, man.
I
love Emma Stone. And that's a great
Yeah.
pick. I think that she brought a lot of, I don't want to say it's fascinating that Andrew Garfield in the year, a couple years prior, was in The Social Network, and that was kind of his breakthrough role. It was like, oh, this guy's going to be the fucking man, like he's going to be the shit. Emma Stone, I'm pretty sure had just been in like Easy A. She'd been in a couple comedies, and it's fascinating to see them get brought together here and kind of a powerhouse of performances, the movie is exquisitely well performed when the weak link is Rhys Ifans. Like,
it's such a shame too, and he's a good actor.
A great actor. And that's what's crazy. It's like the movie and I'm not even discrediting him truly in his performance of this movie. That's just how well everyone else does. I think that like you said earlier about Kirsten Dunst in Raimi trilogy, she's a fantastic actor, and I don't think she just didn't get the material necessary to put her chops on display. And I think you can make the same argument for Rhys Ifans, but even that,
that's the problem with the lizard, though. Like, as a character, that's the problem with the lizard. Like, he's just given like this base level of like nothing to do. So, like, how do you take a character that has little to no real motivation, I guess, and like make him interesting? And I think he did the best with what he had, and like that's just how the lizard is as a character.
Yeah, you're kind of right. He was just fired. They're like, all right, we got everything we need. Thank you. Leave. Leave your office. And he's like, well, I guess human trials on me now. And that's basically his origin story. He's like, well, all right. I'm going against everything I believe in by doing this process slowly.
There's a lot of stuff specifically with that character that I enjoy the movie a great deal, but there are parts of it that kind of fall flat in terms of writing, and it's mostly around the lizard.
Wait a minute, though.
And that's...
We are, okay, if we're going to compare it to Spider-Man 1, Norman Osborn also got fired, was unemployed, and says, fine, I will take the research myself and become villain. I just hate Spider-Man as well. So, I mean, like, it is kind of very surface level. It is kind of the same exact thing.
There's a lot of similar beats that happen in this movie, comparatively.
So, wow. I guess I didn't think about this. You just got to be careful about getting fired. Around Spider-Man, you might become a villain,
or around Oscorp. You got to be careful around Oscorp.
If you're an Oscorp, bro, you gotta be fucking. You're out here. But like with Norman Osborn in the first Spider-Man, I think you could make the argument that he was already unhinged. Like,
definitely.
Yeah, like the thing about Dr. Kirk Connors is that he's a relatively normal dude prior to this. He's obviously very motivated by the idea of regaining his limb, which is an understandable feat, you know. But it is fascinating to see sort of his flippancy in terms of characterization. Like, I didn't fully realize that whenever he starts taking the serum, it's a little bit of a, again, similar to Green Goblin, where it's kind of taking him over in a way and making him feel one way or the other. Because like when he's cured, it feels like the Kirk Connors we knew at the beginning of the movie kind of comes back to the surface. And I don't think they did enough to make it clear that that's what was happening to him. It all did seem like a really internally motivated process for him. And then to see that it was like kind of chemically charged, I don't know. I thought that was, it's an interesting beat. And I think
it is a little missed, like you're saying. It is a little missed in there.
Yeah, it is. And I think that there's one of my favorite moments in terms of just like, I don't know. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's just like they're trying to do like a little bit of like that moment to make clear that Kurt wasn't in full control is when he saves Peter, the guy who can stick to walls, by catching him on the edge of the building.
Well, it's just I always thought the same thing too, but I'm just like, if you're getting thrown off of a really tall tower,
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. How have I
Joseph is
taken?
just in denial. It's like, oh my god, what's
Oh
happening here?
no. Oh no. I mean, I know his web shooters are gone. You know, it's like
Web shooters
okay,
are-
Yeah, they're
but,
gone.
like,
he doesn't have
whenever
his
You're
web
not gonna be.
shooters.
You're gonna
specifically
slide.
whenever he switches arms and it's like a powerhouse moment, like all he needed to do was swing him to the edge and let him like stick to the wall. Like that's all he needed after that.
Yeah, and it made it a point. Like he was like very much struggling. He was screaming. He was like,
It was a little bonding moment.
get the
Come
fuck up
on.
here,
Don't get
Andrew!
me wrong.
Holy shit!"
Like
Yeah.
and frankly, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. This was the first time I've ever noticed that. This
I've
wasn't
never
something
thought of
that's
it
like-
either.
No, I agree.
I've-
I agree.
I
It's
haven't
not-
thought of it until
and
this
it's far
moment
from
right
something
now.
that, like ruins the movie. I don't give a shit about logic as long as it gives you a powerhouse emotional
Yeah.
moment. Like,
Yeah.
and that does that did hit the spot for me. It was just kind of funny whenever I was like, "Can this motherfucker stick to walls?"
You know what? You saying that, I had this at number 2, right below The Dark Knight. I think it goes down to like 10 now, honestly. After that one detail, it's over. Yeah, I can't do this movie anymore. No, this.
I'm with you,
I'm just
man.
gonna shill Tom Holland now.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't drift that way. I don't think. Even though I that's the thing though, is I don't think there really is an unenjoyable Spider-Man movie. They're all great. Like everyone does a really good job at what they're doing.
And specifically the first movies of all the Spider-Man trilogies. Like I love Spider-Man trilogies. It's a shame we never got the third with Andrew Garfield here,
Damn.
but
Maybe one day.
like
Maybe one
I'm a
day.
big fan of Homecoming. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man 1 and I'm a big fan and now I'm in the camp that this is my favorite Spider-Man movie, which I did not realize. So like I think at least in kicking off their franchises, they've always kind of knocked that out of the park for me.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of disagreements with you.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, I think Homecoming's an okay movie. It's definitely the least enjoyable Spider-Man movie for me personally, and I know that's sacrilege to a lot of people. And I'm gonna be on the camp of like Far From Home is a better Tom Holland movie comparatively. But we're not talking about those. I mean, that's just where I'm at, because like if you're going from like Civil War, Homecoming to Infinity War, it's just like a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
I love sequences in that movie.
The continuous arc of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, not vibing completely with that.
The Stark internship, you know, it's just the Stark internship.
That's no, and it's not that like I don't like things about that movie. There are a lot of things I like about that movie. It's just comparatively, if I'm taking each Spider-Man like saga as its own thing, I'm definitely going to lean towards more this duology than I am going to be the other two trilogies, and I like the other two trilogies as a whole. So,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you too. You know, I think that, like I said, this is definitely. I think that whenever we get to the Amazing Spider-Man 2, inevitably, I'll remember that. I remember that movie quite fondly, which I know is not the general case for most people, but I'm excited to see if this one, because I remember this one fondly too, and I am astonished by how much I actually liked it. So I'm hoping the same thing happens with 2 here. But yeah, man, I had a grand time with this movie. I was watching it last night, and as it kept progressing, I was just like, damn, like in comparison to a movie we discussed earlier this week, The Avengers, which I also enjoy a great deal, but there came a point when I paused that movie, and I thought I had like 15 minutes left, and I had about
still got like an hour and a half left.
Yeah, I had about 50 minutes left, and I was like, okay, this movie, I was like, what am I? 35 minutes into this movie, I paused it. I'm an hour and 10 in, and I've got like 40 left, and I'm like, oh, okay, this thing fucking moves. And I like that. And that's something I didn't remember, is that its pacing is incredible. It's shot wonderfully. I think it kind of falls under
Beautiful
the radar
cinematography, beautiful CGI.
Brilliant visual effects, just absolutely gorgeous VFX. And like, I understand why they did it, and it's really cool while we're in that mode. I'm still not a huge fan of like the first person angle stuff. Like that's
Oh,
fine.
I
I think
love
it works.
that stuff. Oh, you're gonna.
I
hate
think
me
the
then
first
for-
one really works. I think the first one where he like swings towards the window and like sticks to it and you see him, like I liked that one. But when we kept returning to it, I was kind of like, it's fine. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, ugh, I can't stand this. But I think that using it a touch more sparingly than they did would have been beneficial.
I think
that's probably my favorite shot, by the way, is him when he
Oh.
sticks to the window.
Yeah.
That's my favorite shot of the entire movie. It's so beautifully done.
Oh, dude, it's gorgeous. And like it's astonishing when you compare to go back to the comparing between franchises for the Spider-Man movies, just how obviously the best this is for visual effects and web swinging.
oh,
So
dude,
so good.
I think next movie is that like you got
that's
it on,
upgraded.
like
It's
they got it on
so
lock.
elevated.
They got it on lock. That's the best swinging in any Spider-Man
So
movie
fun.
there is. It's oh my
So
god,
good.
like the flapping of the suit. Like I mean, like it just there's so many little details of Andrew's swinging next movie that like I can't wait to get to the next movie.
Speaking of swinging in this movie, the one where he is like going through all the traffic, that's a lot of that is practical. I had a guy hanging from a wire under that bridge and like going. Like I love the practical.
It looked it too. That's something that this movie benefited a lot from, was that it's something that I've come back to a lot. We talked Green Lantern at the end of 2023, which is just so obviously phoned in. We're shooting it on a green screen, no natural lighting. We're going to light it in post. This has a real sense of atmosphere that not a lot of movies that rely heavily on special effects, especially of this time and even more so modernly, they just don't do it to quite this effect, you know. And that was like the thing that really stuck out to me, is that the lighting in this movie is fucking beautiful,
phenomenal. Even the scenes at like night, it's so good.
Yes.
Those are the best.
And that was one of the
honestly.
complaints that I heard about this movie, is like, well, it takes so much, like it's just always at night and things like that. And Spider-Man's supposed to be out during the day. I was like, dog, when is he going to do that if he's in school during the day?
Right, bro.
And it's like
he's in high school.
People credit the Toby trilogy and Raimi for the more horror kind of horror vibes that you get in that movie, and I think it's probably still stronger. But I mean, whenever like Gwen is in Oscorp making the antidote and like the piano, like the oh my god, like that's incredible. There's a couple other like really good horror moments, even when Spidey himself is just up on a wall, hanging there, like looking down on like the car thief or whatever.
His shadow is like
oh my
creeping down
god,
the wall.
I remember. I've never thought of Spider-Man himself as creepy, but then I saw a tweet that was like, what you see whenever you're like playing, what Spider-Man sees, and it's just like the goons, whatever. But then it showed the view of what like the thugs would see from the ground up, and it's just Spidey on like top of a crane, like in like a little pose, and all you saw was the white of his eyes, and I'm like, oh man, that like at night. This is like a little Batman, there's fear involved.
Yeah, and that's
here,
what people were comparing this to, is because Nolan's Dark Knight was big. Obviously, it was concluding in the same year. I mean, obviously in this movie went a more grounded, more serious tone, I guess you could say, for Spider-Man. But like the quips are on par. Like that's the character. Him quipping is. In any fight, like
my weakness. It's
small knives.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the body language of Andrew Garfield in the suit. The last two suits to have non-movable eyes, and his body language. He's just so lanky, and he just gets into it. Like it's just, it's so perfect.
I love him in that role.
I remember, like, I think he's fighting. I always want to call him Killer Croc, but that's Batman. Right? Like that's
the lizard,
that's Batman. Yeah, Killer Croc. This is just
his
the
name's
lizard.
much simpler. It's just the lizard.
The lizard. He's fighting the Lizard in high school in like that kind of like bridge over the courtyard area. And like he does like a little like spider pose, like, you know, like after he throws Gwen out the
Someone's been a
window,
bad
and he's
lizard.
like, he gets like, I don't know, gets in his little spider pose, which is perfect. And all that crawling over him, just putting his webs all over him. It's like,
so good.
man, he does so like just so many things that you don't see any of the other Spider-Men do.
Exactly.
It's just creative, very creative.
Yeah, no, I adored it, man. I thought that there was we were talking about the tone that this movie takes, and there was a certain element to this that I'd never considered, that more so than pretty much any superhero movie ever before it, or maybe since, this is a coming of age movie. And I've never really watched it through that lens.
When he comes home all, after his bite, they're like, alcohol? Is he drinking? They're like, that's not the alcohol. They're like
balancing all the stuff on him.
Dude looks baked as hell. Or like, like walking with all that food.
It's acting baked as hell.
Yeah, exactly. And even Aunt May's like, he took the frozen.
He like catches the fly, and then Sally Field's like, that's a fly, and he like lets it go, and he does the little hand
gesture he does. He just does a little twinge, like he's just like, all right, I didn't mean to catch that.
Bro is tweaking. Like it's
oh my God.
It's incredible.
How is he going to heat up that frozen mac and cheese?
He's
not gonna.
He's just going to eat it frozen. He's going to let it thaw.
He was nomming that thing down.
The rest of the food and then eat that. I mean,
he had enough where he could let it thaw.
Boy kind of has a pretty cool setup in his room. He has that electric lock. I wouldn't put it past him to have some sort of, whether it's not a microwave, dude's got something, some heating.
Bro can't
probably
got a Bunsen burner up in that hoe.
Yeah, he's got something up there. He's Peter Parker, I don't know.
Wonderful.
I love the Bing montages. Whenever he's just hardcore on Bing, and he's like looking up his dad or looking up spider bites,
Bing
or
of
looking
all
up
things,
spandex.
So Sony coded. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about really quick about how this Peter Parker, while he doesn't make the web fluid like say Tom Holland does, or even like naturally like Tobey Maguire does, the dude takes a wristwatch and creates a web shooter out of it. Like people say that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man isn't the smartest one in terms of like scientific, but I didn't see Tobey Maguire doing really anything scientific except for like trying to talk. Like, it's just the acoustics, blah, blah, blah. It's all the bouncing and everything like that. But like this Spider-Man just takes a wristwatch, like is taking intricately these little gears out and like putting this little web shooter together.
He's high school genius, like
high school
the
genius.
other, the others, they make them like a Tony Stark sort of genius where they could make an arc reactor in a cave. But like, that's the thing, is that like this sort of genius I like more. Whenever he goes in the basement and Uncle Ben's like, oh, it must be the whatever that's causing the leak, and then Andrew's like, oh no, it can't be that, there's way too much water, it has to be this valve, and he's like, obviously, whatever, it's like,
can you fix it? Like,
yeah, exactly. And like,
bro fucking figures out the decay rate algorithm that his dad and Dr. Kirk Connors couldn't figure out.
I guess it's already just there. Like, it's just his dad figured it out. I think his dad kind of was like, this is like a nuclear bomb-esque sort of release on the world. I got to keep it a secret.
And then I was watching it, sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just going to say he just gave it to Dr. Connors on a silver platter. He was just like, here, in notebook in your kitchen, here you go. What my father was, what he died for, basically, to keep a secret. Here you go. But,
because when I was watching it, again, I talked about this when MCU on repeat was a thing, and it's no longer a thing. I was watching it, and I'm still confused if he wrote algorithm wrong. Like, I think that would have been a good twist if he like wrote a wrong number or a wrong exponent or something like that. But I don't think I think it's the same equation. Like, I think he just pulled it off of like a photographic memory type thing. Obviously we learned in the second movie why it worked for him and not Blizzard, but I mean, I think that would have been a good twist, is that when he was writing down the equation, And he like wrote it down by like one number off, and that's why it turned Connors into the actual lizard.
No, yeah, I like that. It would provide a little bit of a, because one thing I really like about Spider-Man stories at large is that often he's hoisted by his own petard. You know, he does something that leads to the villain doing their thing. And I thought that that's something that this one did extremely,
at least in the movies,
extremely compellingly.
Yeah. Wow, I've never
and
really
it's not
thought...
his fault, but he certainly helped him get there. You know, it's and it's cool to see such a personal stake. You know, it's if this goes wrong, it's his fault. It's not just like it's my responsibility. I love the twist on the with great power comes great responsibility quote here, where he's like,
you
your
got a
father had
moral
a belief.
obligation to do those things.
Yeah, if you can do good, you have a moral obligation to do those things. It's
not choice, responsibility.
Yeah. And it's written well. It's just funny because we know there's a quote that they're beating around. Like in a different context, it'd be a great line of dialogue, you know, like
yeah, and I mean, technically, if you're going back to like the original appearance of Spider-Man when Uncle Ben does like he never says it in the book.
Yeah, it's not actually that. It's not.
No, he just learns this lesson on his own at the very end. With great power comes great responsibility. So having Uncle Ben say it by not saying it, I think fits a lot better. I don't know. It's a lot more words for sure.
No, I like it. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. It's just funny that to have a line of dialogue
to like dance around it.
They're getting at it is a little funny.
I think it kind of sums up like what's happening more at large. Like they're doing another origin Spidey movie, and a lot of the things, like, we know what's kind of going to happen. We know he's going to get some powers at some point. We're going to see him go through a transformation. Uncle Ben is probably gonna die. You know, like I don't like it, like even if you've never seen it before, it's like, well, we know the first Uncle Ben died, so it's like probably it's a pretty common Spider-Man thing
Uncle
for that
Ben's
to happen.
In this one, it hurts a bit.
Man,
but
that's the thing. Yes.
Like,
like
you gotta go for the gun, Uncle Ben. You gotta go for the gun. I don't think he was going to shoot him.
He had a moral obligation to do the right thing and get the gun.
Oh, see, that's why
out of this. I don't know. Get the gun out of the criminal's hands. Maybe, you know. Maybe that's his. I'm not sure. But he was just looking for Peter. You know, Peter stormed out, and that's why he's out on the street. So it's like there's that layer of guilt. You know, like not Tom Holland. Tobey Maguire's guilt was that he wasn't actually at the library. He was out fighting, and you know that's what got him out there and got him killed. This is just like he didn't pick up Aunt May and stormed out because it was, you know, a big emotional moment, and you know. So I don't know. I think it was very. They changed things very well.
And I sound like I'm talking shit. I'm never actually talking shit. I enjoy the choices this movie makes.
No, what hurts this scene though, like comparatively, is the deleted version.
Is it better?
I've never seen them.
It's so much better. Okay, so the deleted version it's after Carradine takes the money, steals the beer money from the cash register, and he walks off. And Peter takes his chocolate milk and goes. So he's walking and he's hanging out on top in like the scaffolding of the whatever like train rail that's above him.
Okay.
So he's hanging out in that like where it would connect. And then he's hearing like he's got Uncle Ben is still calling him on his phone, and then he hears a gunshot, and he goes down to check it out just because I guess he's just being curious. Well, Uncle Ben saw somebody walk down an alley, dark alley in the middle of the night, and he thinks it's Peter, so he goes down there, and when he goes down there, he gets shot. And then Peter hears that, he goes to check it out, and that's when he sees it's Uncle Ben.
Yeah, that could have...
I think it's better than him going, hey, trying to get the gun. Like, I get Uncle Ben was trying to do right,
it's
but
literally
like
the action he takes that I'm like, it's...
Yeah. No, I agree.
it does make it a lot more needless, like his death. Like, it makes it like a lot more like, God damn, that really didn't need to happen. But, and that makes it a different layer of tragic. But I do like that deleted version more. I do.
Yeah.
I think
deleted version is a lot better. I think that one should have stayed in.
Gotcha.
I mean, it makes it seem like, oh, we have to kill Uncle Ben off, so let's do it. And Martin Sheen is a great Uncle Ben.
Dude, Sally Field is a great Aunt May. I'd kind of forgotten.
She hated being Aunt May. She hated it, and I was like, "You are the best one yet." Like comparatively, in my opinion, I love this cast. So,
I think
this has an unbelievable cast, dude. Like, and I enjoy Sally Field a great deal. Beyond her work just as Aunt May here, so and that kind of paints this cast, and I mean that's what makes you like any cast in any movie, really, is how much you like the work of everybody in the cast. So I don't know why I'm like feeling bad about that, but I mean Martin Sheen is fucking incredible as Uncle Ben. Like that line delivery, like he's the reason that line delivery worked. When we're talking about like if you can do good, you have a moral obligation to do those things. It's because of the way that he presents that line that it actually hits you in a way that's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
A moment that almost even got me to tear up was whenever Uncle Ben walked in his room afterwards, after Peter found his dad's bag under the stairs and was like, "Hey, we don't talk about your parents enough. I'm sorry. It is wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not maybe the father. I can't fill those shoes. Blah blah blah." But then on the way out, Peter's like, "Hey, you're a really great dad, by the way." And like,
pretty good
you
dad.
just see like that smile, like just that facial acting. No words are spoken, but like you see this moment between them. It kind of just reminded me of the No Way Home, like, "Hey, like I love you guys." Like whenever like he just like kind of stopped. Like Andrew Garfield always just. I think he's a very he likes to express his emotions, like no matter what movie he's in. Well, I guess that's kind of the whole reason he does have relationship problems in Tick Tick Boom is that he isn't expressive enough. So maybe I'll take my words back. But at least as Spider-Man, he seems to just he's a very loving person. I don't know. But yeah,
and also it's such like it's a comparative scene. If you take that scene of, "Hey, you're a pretty good dad, Uncle Ben," to Tobey Maguire when he's like, I don't mean to preach and stuff, but I know I'm not your father. He's like, "Stop pretending to be." In the first Spider-Man movie.
Bad. Yeah, no, for sure.
Right? Like,
damn. Yeah, that's right.
I don't mean to lecture. I don't mean to preach.
Great antithesis moment that I think like
it is.
It absolutely is. I think that there's something, again, about the reception of this in 2012 that was generally people kind of looked at it as though it was like smiting Raimi's trilogy when it was just trying to distinguish itself from that. Like it doesn't want to be a perfect recreation of a movie that came out 10 years ago. Why would it want to be? It wants to be its own
thing.
And it does a phenomenal job at that. And I want to bridge this into favorite scene talk here. Cause there's so many great moments in this. So Blaine, I wanted to start with your favorite scene of the movie here.
I think my favorite scene, I hemmed and hawed on this a lot, but I think the favorite scene of mine is the fight in the school. That whole, the kind of where he kind of goes, where he gets like thrown into the wall and then he pops out and he's all dressed up in a Spider-Man suit. And then it's just like the library fight with Stan Lee and the headphones. Like that's a good sequence in that whole thing. And then it cuts back to normal sound when he whacks against the wall or the bookshelves. And I think it's great. Like I love that whole scene of fighting in the school. And then like you said, Joseph, where he's crawling on all over the lizard, like an actual spider would trying to encase him into like a web cocoon. Like,
I'm going to throw you out the window now.
Yeah. Huh?
I'm going to throw you out the window now.
Yeah. Screams. And then she's like, "Oh, that was like, I don't know, the reaction she had was like,
what I
whoa.
love about Gwen in this movie is that she's noticeably yearning.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that,
Yeah. They're on the rooftop, and he's like trying to tell her that he's Spider-Man, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been bitten." She's like, "Me too.
Me too."
well, yeah, like,
And he was like, "Oh, okay." He's like,
like,
"Yeah, all right, okay,
and he's like,
but
"Oh
no."
wait, I'm actually, I'm trying to tell you something about this car thief." He's like, "Oh, okay," and then he's like, "But
He's
no,
like, I'm going to talk about me.
actually,
I'm going to talk about me for a
we
second.
talk about me," and she's like, "Oh yeah, what about you? Like, what is it about you, Peter?" Like, oh man, she was incredible. Like
Dude, I love
through the
Emma
whole
Stone in
time.
this. I really do.
She's
But
so
like,
good.
one of my line candidates came from that rooftop scene. Whenever he like flies, like I love that whole scene. It was top 2 for me in terms of my favorite scenes of the movie. Because it's one of my least favorite things in superhero movies. I understand why they do it. I get the story. I get the story beat. But I love that he just fucking tells her. He's just like, I can't keep this from you. I want to tell you this. I think it's cool, and I think that you are the only other person who will be down with me for it.
And what a smooth way to tell her too.
When he
and then
slings her in there,
roll her in.
love that.
Ooh, oh my god! I mean, like,
She's like, you.
Who's got Riz?
He does.
Bro,
He does.
He's smooth. I see why they fell in love with each other. Oh my god,
Chemistry's
come
off
on.
the charts.
But that line, whenever he like swings away, and she goes, "Oh, I'm in trouble." Like she's like, because she's like, I know I shouldn't, but goddamn, am I going to? That's the. I love it. I love it. But
oh yeah,
man, there are some great scenes in this movie. Ultimately, the scene that moves me the most, it always has, and it likely always will, is when the construction workers come through for him and line
the
it
city
up
banding
for him.
together.
Dude.
Oh,
anytime the civilians help Peter, when New York comes together for Spider-Man, I fucking love it. It's the best scene in Spider-Man 2 whenever they carry him through, and I mean, like, the dialogue is a little corny there, but
you gotta go through us, or whatever. In Spider-Man,
dude, I love it. I mean, it happens in Spider-Man 1 whenever they're like, "You fuck with Spidey, you fuck with us," not in so many words, but
do you know why that started?
What's that?
Just New York helping out, or what?
Do you know why they added that? Or I think this is the reason why they added the whole, you mess with Spidey, you mess with New York, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, from the first one, and then they like kept it as like a running thing going through.
There's a reason.
I think it's because of the terrorist attack of 9/11.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9/11.
Oh,
yeah,
dang,
because that's when
a year after 9/11,
like, everybody wanted to come together and like,
dang,
help each other out. Like,
the Spider-Man brought us all together, huh? Yeah, like
honestly, New York post those terrorist attacks is something that they really try to emulate in the spirit of the New Yorkers. Watching a man try to protect them,
this is my post-trauma movie, even though I didn't realize what was going on at the time because I was 1 year old, or I guess 1.5, at the time. But I poured my whole life into those movies. Maybe this is why I needed to escape reality. But no,
I mean, but that moment whenever the construction workers watching it on the TV, and he's like, "Hey, hold on, give me him on 6th, get him on the phone, we got to do this thing." He's like, "Line them up, boys,
dude,
turn them street side.
We gotta
help Spidey."
This is the best New York coming to help each other, because it feels so triumphant at the same time, because
slow run from a limb.
He also got caught, by that one cop.
It's so fucking hype. It just gets you going, man. I love it.
And then the web swinging that comes from that is just so beautiful to watch.
The cops blocking off the traffic to let him go as low as possible, to like get as much speed as he can. It was like, oh man, it was badass. God. And then the slingshot, like when he gets to Oscorp and then he like pulls back, and then I love that every time Spider-Man does that, like in any situation at all. I just would want to be Spider-Man so bad.
That I hadn't considered. There's no greater influence on the Spider-Man video game from 2018 than this movie, right?
No,
This
they
is like
take story elements from both of these movies, almost beat for beat.
the swinging
Dude.
from the second movie is like almost identical to the game, and like
Oh, and then
Oh, it is
beyond
because that was
like,
the
there
thing
was
when
this
they went
moment-
into development.
that thing whenever him and Connors are in the lab and they're like basically plugging in new formulas, and you got the blue techie sort of thing floating in front of them, and it's like
Yep.
it failed, and then it's like success.
Mhm.
That's a fucking game mode in Spider-Man, like that's
Yeah,
a
it is.
Damn. I
Mhm.
guess Sony. I guess they're all.
yeah,
It
for
is,
sure. But
it is just all.
I mean,
all
like,
them. But yeah, and now yeah, it is. It is that time too when they would be thinking of developing, and because like the first, when did the first game come out? Was
2018.
Yeah. So and then in the second movie, yeah. So I guess the second movie would have come out.
Second
as
movie
well
was
before.
2014. Yeah, you would start
14, yeah.
probably development early
Yeah.
2015.
So yeah, they would
when
definitely
were gonna
look
do
to
the
these
Amazing
movies
Spider-Man
for
3
sure.
yet.
Yeah, they're for sure looking to these movies as their like
Yeah.
resource
Companion pieces
files.
to them.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is like their Bible for the time. Basically, we need to make it
Mhm.
look like this.
No, dude, it's fucking gorgeous, man. And yeah, so that was my scene. It was also visually fucking brilliant,
Mhm.
also. So it was just a nice little. The music swell. I love James Horner's score of this movie. One of my favorite comic book movie scores ever. I love it. And
Rest
the
in
way it
peace.
swells there just hits. Joe, what about you? What's your favorite scene from the movie?
Mine, now that you mentioned their rooftop, like him telling her, that was a that could actually maybe be a contender. But I'm gonna go with I think it's the first time he's actually full in suit and going on. Well, maybe not, but it's whenever he's on the bridge and the lizard's out. He's trying to get the business sort Oscorp kind of guy. What's his name in this? I bet he has a name. Rajit Ratha
Yep.
in the movie. Yeah, he's trying to get him on the bridge, and then Spidey comes and saves the day. Holds all the cars are hanging from the bridge. He saves all them, and then the boy, specifically like this part, whenever the boy's in the car and he's like, hey, look I'm just a normal person. Like, it's okay, everything's fine. He's like, put on the mask. It's gonna make you strong, and like climbs
such a
out.
Spider-Man moment.
Oh man, it was perfect.
That was my runner-up for scene, by the way, is the scene where he saves Jack, the kid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
Jack put the mask.
dude.
I put that in there in the
That one
box.
did get me emotionally. Like I got moved to tears for that part because it was just
Yeah.
I love a pure hero moment. Like
Mm-hmm.
and again, just the choices that this Peter makes in terms of being open about who he is to like whenever he gets there and the kid's scared and he just immediately rips off his mask and he's like, I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude. Come on.
I'm just a
let's
kid
do
like
this."
you, man. Like,
Yeah. I mean, his
fucking
costume was
love that.
kind of designed to put fear because he was going only after criminals. He was only trying to find the guy who killed Uncle.
Specific criminal
Yeah.
type.
So like he was meant to be scary, but now that he's changing into this, hero now, he realized like, oh, my mask actually does kind of look a little bit scary. Like those yellow eyes, I don't know. They have something to them that is a little bit more freaky. The next suit, oh my god! I mean, when we get to that,
that's the scene where he becomes Spider-Man, though. Like that is that is the I am Spider-Man moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what he says. That for one, the dad is the guy who's the main operator for all the construction cranes and stuff. He's like, that's the guy who saved my kid. I gotta do this for him.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then also, it is the first name drop. He's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
It's like, yeah, I am. Which is,
I'm swinging it. I'm swinging it.
Swinging it, dude. That scene, that little shot that follows it, though, when he swings off from the bridge after saving the kid, and then it just cuts to him sitting in his bedroom, just in his suit, staring at the mask on the floor.
Dude.
You're like, holy shit! Like, is this
man.
this is who I am now? Like, this is what I have to do.
Yeah. No, I don't know when it was. I put it down. He's on the way to Oscorp. Okay. I think it might be during the construction scene, maybe. Maybe a little bit before. But it's whenever the helicopter has like a spotlight and he swings like in
Right
front
in front of
of
it.
the spotlight, and like it like goes kind of slow motion, and then like
Oh, and he
speeds
gets
up
shot
like
with that
after.
tase.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
With the
Oh, I
tase.
guess it's right before then. It's right before then. Both of them look
Okay.
really good, but it's one
Yeah, this
where
is-
he's just swinging and he doesn't get hit yet. But that one
Oh,
even
yeah,
looks
yeah,
good
yeah.
too when he does get hit with the laser. I just wanted to highlight those because I did think they just looked really cool. But
Oh,
I
that is
think
your favorite shot, right?
no, I think I'm actually going to go with whenever he makes his web down in the sewer, tracking the lizard down there, and he just like sends all of the different webs all down the line, and then he's just like sitting right in the
To
middle.
test the vibrations, that's a good.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't
That's a
know
good
why I
bet.
love and that's the thing. He's so much more spider like than all the other spider. Like he made his own big web there. Like the only time we see someone make a web is like Tobey Maguire, but it's just that huge one above a funeral, like a graveyard, and him and MJ are just laying on it.
That's in
and
Central
it's like
Park. They're in the middle of the park.
yeah, kind of crazy that he's doing that in his suit.
Yeah.
Not Spidey suit, his just normal.
His like
human
tuxedo
clothes
suit, or his dress suit that he wore
Yeah.
for the show.
But like this web, I don't know. It looks. How the fuck did Toby even weave that other web in the first? It was like kind of nuts if he actually did all that work. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it's very. It looks a lot more like an actual spider's web.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
fucked. I don't know. This one, I liked the looks of it all. I really wish that the camera, like the pictures, would have turned out somehow. Because he took pictures. I think because there was an ad in the paper. That said, like, there's a reward for any proof of the lizard around New York. So I think like they're just low on money right now, and I think I thought that maybe that there was some intention for that because
he'd
had
also come straight from the police precinct where he tried to tell Captain Stacy that the lizard's real, and he's like, "All right, I don't," and that it's Kurt Connors, and he's like, "No, I don't believe that." Like it's like he wrote a glowing college recommendation essay for my daughter. It made me cry. There's no way this is that
apparently
guy.
the mayor of Tokyo would believe in this situation instantly. Just because they're from Tokyo, the most technologically advanced city in the entire world.
It's a Godzilla reference.
It's a Godzilla reference. Yeah.
Damn it. Oh my god, that flew
Got up and walked away
over my head so fast. I'm like, why is this dude just racist towards Japan for no reason? I'm like, does he
it's because of the giant lizard in Japan.
God.
He's a big lizard.
Fuck. Okay.
I'm looking for it right now.
Man, nothing's ever made me stand up in a podcast.
Yeah, no, that was a rare occurrence. That was
yeah.
There was something about this movie that like I've never I quite enjoyed Captain Stacy's presence in this movie, which is something he actually delivers my favorite line of the movie.
He's not alone.
That's one of them. I love that, but it's not it. But whenever the moment when Peter turns around and looks at him and he's like, "Son of a bitch," he's like, "God damn it."
Fuck. Yeah, it's like,
and he lets him go. He tells him to hold his fire, but it's whenever he gets to Oscorp and Gwen's like, "No, you don't understand." He's like, "I understand." She's like, "No, you don't understand. You can't." He's like, "Your boyfriend is a man of many masks. I get it." Whenever he says that to her, and she's
good
like,
line delivery though.
Oh, fantastic! And that's why I went with it, is because that line delivery is it's extremely it's heartfelt. It's a moment where you realize he cares more about his daughter than he does about his job, and he cares more about the livelihood of the people. That ultimately, when he was faced with that choice in the moment, he realizes just what Spider-Man is. He's heard it straight from his mouth. He's heard it straight from the guy what his intentions are and what he wants to do. I think that it's a great line and a great moment that really anchors what is supposed to be the emotional sort of oomph of this movie.
him dying?
The ending is... I like the ending.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking funny, though.
What do you mean? Wait, funny? What do you mean?
He's talking
I'm
about the
talking
part
Oh,
where
like the like
when he goes
those are the
back.
best.
Are you talking about when he
like
goes
the
back to
promise
class
line?
and she's like, "Don't make promises you can't keep." Look, I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Oh, I don't
do think
either.
it's kind of dumb.
I think thematically it kind of falls on its face. Ultimately,
Yeah,
what it comes
definitely.
to is whether you enjoy the romance of Peter and Gwen more than you care about Captain Stacy, which I do. So ultimately it doesn't matter to me that much, but it's such an odd tone to strike about Gwen's dad. Like, she understands, like, you know, whenever she goes to his place and she's like, he made you promise, didn't he? And
Yeah.
he's like, and he says it without saying it, you know. But to like,
To then just switch. I think the Aunt May line in between there is what really makes him switch. He was like, all right, I'll keep this promise. That's okay. And then he convinced himself, like, he's right. I am not good for her. I only will put her in danger. But then Aunt May says, no, Peter, you are good. That's all that I know you to be. You're good. You're good enough for her. If anyone has any problem with that, they can come talk to me. And then he was like, okay, maybe,
I don't think it comes out of nowhere, and I get what makes him reach that point, and I think that they do. It's just the tone shift around Captain Stacy's death specifically, where it was at one point in the movie an emotional gut punch that is supposed to make you go like, God damn. Because that last moment with him, whenever he's hyping him up, you know, he's like, you are a good man. I now realize that New York needs you. The city needs you. The people need you. You just need to promise me one thing. And you think he's going to be like, you know, keep doing it, keep being Spider-Man. But he's like, leave my daughter out of it. Like, that's a good moment. I think that's a great moment.
My problem with it is, though, is how the YouTube channel, how it should have ended, covered why it's pointless. And I think it makes a lot of sense. He could have saved him with the lizard formula to regenerate where he got stabbed.
The green one was still up there.
The green one's still up there. And the antidote is still coming down from the sky.
Oh my god. An instant. Oh no.
It's
Wait
an
a minute.
instant
maybe.
rebirth.
Maybe. Since it's already raining, it wouldn't work. You know, maybe.
Right.
Like, and he's already dead by the time all of the cure is done. So, like, it was just this pure in-between moment.
The point of that cloud is that it's not like it's done in a couple seconds thing. Like, it lingers.
No, I think it could have worked. But the thing is now you have the writers of Across the Spider-Verse saying that it's a canon event and it needs to happen.
Right.
Because they showed that scene specifically.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know, you brought up something
trying to cover their
never
ass
thought about. Of like, they never
movie.
explain why it doesn't work as well for Dr. Connors as it does for Peter in this one. They do in the second one. They're like, yeah, it was his father's DNA, worked it to, work around that. And we're like, okay, that makes sense. But in this one, we don't really get any reason to why. It's like, Peter got bit by a spider, and then, the lizard is a lizard, so maybe that's just the reason, is that it's just a different process. They're different, levels along their research, whatever. I don't know. But it would be cool if, like, Peter had some knowledge of, like, maybe Dr. Connors was in on my father's disappearance, like, why, maybe, like, but I guess I don't think he really was. I think it was just the same guy who was threatening Dr. Connors. I think it was just the higher ups.
Yeah, we kind of get that a little bit that he knew.
But yeah, but Dr. Connors kind of knew exactly what happened. And he just never told the truth. So, like, it would have been cool if there was some grudge between Dr. Connors and Peter, and he wrote down something wrong on purpose on the equation, and then he was like, I won't give you the last bit of the equation unless you tell me the truth of what happened to my father, or something like that. I think that could have been a cool moment between them.
But how would you write that into the story of, like, he just went to Doc Connors because his dad, like, because Uncle Ben told him, like, Doc Connors is the guy in the photo. Like, then he did his little bit of research.
That's what I'm saying, is I wish there could have been some way that Peter knew. Or like his dad left him a message, like look into so and so or talk to this person about, I don't know, like if I disappear, something like that. I'm not sure.
No, yeah. I mean, like that's ultimately like. I think that thematically, it's a tad like it plays again like a coming of age film above all else for me. So it's interesting to place that within an epic sci-fi superhero sort of setting where it seems like that's where stuff is going to slip through the cracks a little bit. We've talked about the logic of some of the stuff, and it is mostly with the superhero implications. And that's not, I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal, like, ultimately what I was saying about the ending, I like that moment. It put a giant smile on my face whenever he says, like, those are the best kind, like, I love that. And watching Emma Stone smile grow and you're like, you smile with her. It is a great little moment, so like, ultimately it's just, it's fascinating to pose such a strong emotional moment and kind of suck the air out of it 5 minutes later.
I see where you're coming from.
And ultimately it doesn't affect my enjoyment of it. I enjoyed it a great deal. I just think
exactly. That's where I'm at too.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a moment in the script where you're like, I don't know what the right way to go about that is. But there probably is a right way to go about it.
Probably could have used another pass, like around the writing table.
Yeah. And I suppose, like, I like that they don't. It's another thing that distinguishes this movie from the first Spider-Man, because the first Spider-Man ends with Peter telling MJ, like, I can't do this. I'm going to put you in danger. That's it. And this poses to you like, he doesn't give. He cares, but he's gonna.
I don't give a fuck, bro.
Yeah, bro. Have you seen Gwen Stacy, bro? I'm gonna be with like he's like, I'm not giving it up for that, bro.
I ain't giving shit up.
Sorry,
bro.
Captain. But I love your daughter.
Yeah. I mean, also, it's Gwen has a choice. I think it's not her father's. Not her father's choice completely. So I think Aunt May being like, you're good enough for her. That, and also like, it is a dead man's promise.
Too, is that like in a movie where Gwen is actually written rather well, I would have liked for her to claim her agency, like you're saying.
Yeah,
like if he says that
I know your dad
line
promised me, but
she says something about like, what about like, don't I get a say in this? Don't I get to decide my life? Like, then that line doesn't feel so like it's.
It plays very well into the next movie, though.
It does. That's true for sure. I think it just kind of undercuts.
Maybe her dad was right.
About.
She does get hurt pretty bad.
Oh yeah, she
does, actually, bad. Yeah. She does get hurt really bad. But hey,
it's true.
I'll throw a Band-Aid on it. It'll be fine.
No, at least it was quick. At least it was quick. At least it
not a lot felt.
No, but we're not there yet, so we can still live with this moment. But I think that would have made it a little better. The line,
we're going to watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 up until about 20 minutes left, and then we're going to turn the movie
exactly.
off.
Then we don't need to know what happens. I forgot completely. I don't remember actually.
No, I get it. I do.
But my line, it comes from between the two of them. Peter comes home after getting sliced up by the lizard, and Gwen's treating to him, and I guess Peter, oh my god, was trying to kiss her so hard. Like, he's just so like, holy shit, you're so hot, just kiss me, please. And but after a little bit, Gwen just says,
"Easy, bug boy."
Easy, bug boy. Yeah. Oh my god, I lost it. And Peter even says, "What'd you call me?" He's like, "What did you call me?" But I think he was like a little bit of like, "Wait a minute."
He was like, "Hold on, I like that."
Like, wait a minute. Yeah, what'd you call me? Yeah. I don't know. I loved the chemistry between the two of them. I thought it was just incredible.
Even the build up to that part where he's just like, he comes in and she sees all the scratches, like, oh my God, what happened? He's just like, oh, you should see the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he happens to be a giant mutant lizard, and she's like,
That's
yeah,
actually
like,
where my shot comes in. It was a really simple one that I really enjoyed. I'm actually going to put it in the Discord here and under the Marvel tab.
Oh yeah.
Just so you guys can take a look at what I'm saying. It's one of those examples where I thought the staging and the lighting was just really, really good. I thought the environment was captured really, really effectively. And it's whenever he slings himself across her like chair in her room, and he's lit by the light pouring in through the window, the lamp on the other side of the room, the books in the background, and they're just trimmed by this sort of light, and they're looking into each other's eyes. I was just like, yes,
dude,
yes. You know, like there was one thing we talked about last week with the Avengers where it was like, I can see the comic panel, and something that they did really effectively with that movie is they brought a comic book on screen, basically.
Yep.
This, I can see the panel and it works even better as a shot in a movie, whereas it doesn't feel like it's just ripped straight from a comic. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's an elevation.
No, I get exactly what you're saying, though.
What I mean.
Take the comic panel and make it cinematic.
Yes.
You know, make it look good in camera. It is a different medium, and different mediums have different strengths. In camera, lighting, very, very important. I'm also a big fan of lighting rooms with lamps, just in general. Overhead lighting, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of the overhead lighting. I try to get as many people on the lamp wave as I can.
Lamps are superior, and natural light and lamps. Love that.
True. But yeah, this, I don't know, a great, just overall looking movie the whole time. Like, I mean, it, like, surprisingly, I was like, man, there's just
a ton of beautiful shots. I'm gonna send a couple more here in the group chat now. Gwen Stacy, the one of her at the funeral, whenever the umbrellas are all marching out and she lifts hers and looks straight up. Fucking gorgeous whenever she is in the closet. And, you know, on Peter's wall, we have a poster for the movie Rear Window, which is a movie directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Hitchcock, known for his suspenseful thriller movies, and the music cue that plays while she's in the closet and the lighting of the sequence does get, I mean, like, I'm not going to say it's Hitchcockian because it's not, but it's certainly influenced by that, I would say. And the way that, like, the panels of light are lighting the top half of her face and stuff, like, fucking gorgeous. There's a lot to like in this movie.
I've got a shot for you guys. I'll throw it in a Marvel tab, as I think it's beautifully done, and it's towards the end of the film, or it is the end of the film, I should say. Where is it?
I think I might know. I have one in my head already.
You're probably right. I'm not going to lie. I have a bunch of these.
Is the moon in the background, or no?
No,
Okay. Oh,
this shot is pure perfection.
Love a good leap of faith moment. I know this isn't the leap of faith moment. Like his first one.
That slingshot through the crane and.
Yeah. Oh no, that's.
I mean, again, beautiful. Huge influence on the Spider-Man video game.
Spider-Man 2018 game. That's the pose when you're falling, man.
100%. And also his whenever he gets on top, when he makes his web shooters and he goes out, does the handstand, you know, and then he gets up on his fingertips and then his 2 fingers and then one hand, 2 fingers, and it's like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah, this, like, they really do a good job of showing his strength. In this, like, breaking the sink, the door, and he's like, holy shit, like, I can't do anything normally anymore. I have to, like, tone back everything, every part of my life. One
of my favorite shots, too, is right before the bridge fight, and he's like, it's right after he leaves Gwen, and she goes, I'm in trouble. And it's when he's taking off his, like, jacket and t-shirt, and you just see him wearing his suit underneath, and it's just that back shot. Oh, I love that. He's looking down at the bridge, watching the lizard do its thing.
Gotta love the Spider-Man back shots. Yeah.
Oh,
Man, no,
Love a
yeah,
Spidey back
he's,
shot.
I don't know, his suits are just so
Dude,
incredible.
there's a
Like
shot whenever he's very. I love the contrasts in this movie. Again, the lighting is so important specifically with this suit. The way light
yes,
kind of glimmers and shimmers
yes,
off of him.
It's that
Um,
puff
Mhm.
paint, man.
yes,
yes.
It's that
dude,
screen
Oh
printing
fucking
puff paint.
my
gorgeous.
god, that's what
I
it is. I
love it.
wondered what like it was like. Because in Toby you have like that 3-dimensional webbing, but it's very just like
Yeah.
rubber or like not
It's
reflective.
that urethane, and the
Um,
suit like itself is just like it has like a print like kind of in it.
mhm.
But this one they made it like, okay, we need to establish that he did make this suit, so he screen prints the back spider logo on it, and it's all spandex. But like if you ever look at how like cosplayers will make the TASM lunge suit, it's all puff paint.
Yeah, and like I've seen people that put it in like a syringe sort of thing, and like just very like
Yeah, it's
slowly
like
like
it's
get
a
it out,
special tip,
like
and they're like so close, and it's so intricate in
takes
the detail, and
forever.
it's
But
yeah.
that detail specifically, like it does grant light just to bounce off it in beautiful ways. Like it
Yeah.
makes the suit look so good, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
like he just,
I
I mean, Andrew just has some great suits.
Oh, he's also got
And
like he has got a perfect Spidey physique. Also, the tall, lanky,
so good.
like
Yep.
the way the suit looks on him is also perfect, which is nothing. That's quite important as well. But there's that moment immediately after Captain Stacy's death. Whenever he turns around and looks at the city, and there's the two buildings lit up in the like blue, green, and the
Mm-hmm.
what are the particles falling from
Yeah.
from the machine, and he's trimmed by that glowing light, and he's just looking off in the distance. I was like, God damn, this movie is pretty, bro. Like it's
so good.
I was surprised by how good looking it was.
Yeah.
that's, I don't know. That's the more I talk about the movie, the more I'm like, because I thought I was crazy for putting it at my favorite Spidey movie, above
Not,
Spider-Man 1. But I'm realizing it just is there. Like
Once
it's just,
you are released from the shackles of nostalgia, you realize that there's a lot out there that is every bit as enjoyable as anything else. And
But now are we stuck on nostalgia saying this is our favorite Spider-Man movie?
shit.
Is Tom Holland's
here- and
the new
the-
thing?
you
We
know,
got
there is
Across
a
the
different-
Spider-Verse. You got
well, don't get me wrong. This is my favorite live action Spider-Man movie. My favorite
live
Spider-Man
action
movie
Spider-Man.
is Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that just kind of is a different animal. The second one is
It
a
is.
little different. It's a little that's debatable just for the ending alone. Once the next one comes out and it's a complete trilogy, I pretty much have no doubts that it'll be my favorite Spidey trilogy there is. And just kind of it's that's kind of a different league. But live action, I don't think there's any debate for me now.
Not for me, yeah. Like this
yeah.
is definitely my favorite Spider-Man
Is
movie.
it?
Yeah, I was, and that's not how I felt coming into it. I was blown away that is how I felt after this viewing. So, we've spoken a lot about the element of surprise in our viewings and how it ends up being reflected in our ratings whenever we get to those. Like, whenever something is a pleasant surprise, we always end up boosting it quite a bit. And I think it's well deserved here, especially in that enjoyment category. It's such an emotionally riveting movie, and I appreciate it greatly for that, man. I don't know. Is what favorites do we not have? Blaine, have you said your favorite line yet?
I didn't say it. I forgot to mention it. Because everybody brought up the car thief scene. That's what we were talking about earlier, and I was going to bring it up there, but we never got around to it. We talked about something else. One of my favorite lines is when the police officer comes in. He's like, "You in the mask." Freeze is like, "No one seems to grasp the concept of the mask."
Yeah.
That's kind of a Joker line.
It's a
jokey
jokey line. It's a good
Joker.
fourth wall break that it isn't meant to be a fourth wall break. Like he's meant to be looking at the guy webbed to the wall that he just did. Like he's like, this could have ended a lot worse, buddy. Like,
yeah, if that tattoo was there, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna kill him? You know, is that the level he's going to? What do you think?
Oh yeah, he's looking for revenge at this point. This is before.
If that is the guy, what does he do there? Like, does he stab him?
For revenge, man.
Does he take that knife? You know,
bro, he's gonna like just beat him to a freaking pulp. He knows the strength he's got. He just did the two-handed, two-finger thing.
That's scary. I mean, like, yeah, like he's strong.
I think in No Way Home about how after Gwen passes, he kind of loses himself to a degree. So, like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's always
true. He stops pulling his punches. Yeah, he does go apeshit mode. I would very much like to see that.
No Way Home has been a fascinating recontextualization of every Spider-Man as we've known them, and knowing like Risa Fons in No Way Home. You know, it's not actually. I mean, I know he voices him, but he's like never actually there. But the complete non-factor he is in No Way Home essentially makes a lot of sense now. Yeah, you know, like it's like revisiting this, I'm like, oh yeah, he wouldn't have shit to do, you know, like
he just doesn't have
Yeah, he's he did get a little Nazi-ish for a moment there of like, you know, humans are low, you know, kind of even crazier than a Nazi at one point where he's like, humans, every human is just below me. We can be so much better in every way, so I'll forcibly make Manhattan lizard people.
The strongest dose of copium ever.
Let's do it. And is the idea that this because his comes and goes is the thing. He has to keep using it in order to go full lizard mode. But is there just a idle mode which he stays at in which it's both, you know, where he would, because every time he goes back to human mode, he doesn't have his arm anymore. You know, he loses his arm.
Gotta imagine he's upping his dose every time.
Yeah, I think it's like a slow evolution into,
because he starts growing
when he reverts back. There's still elements of it there, you know. Like so, I think there comes a time when he turns and doesn't turn back.
But then, so these people say the antidote cloud didn't go out. What do the random people experience that got hit with the green, you know, with the green grenades he threw earlier? Are they?
Well, I guarantee that's the dosage you need to be a lizard for the rest.
Yeah.
Oh, he figured it out by then.
I bet I can almost guarantee that, because before that he even upped the dose, like even more. He says, "I'm upping the dose," before he injects himself.
So by the end of the movie, he became fully the lizard. Like he was never going back to Kurt Connors unless the antidote was used.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. I think that's what that's supposed to be.
I like that. Then I like that more.
I wish he spent a little bit more time with the lab coat. I appreciate that we got glimpses of it, but every time it slowly fell off, I was like, you know, I was like,
Yeah, that's all right.
No, I agree. I wish the lab coat would have stayed here and there.
Yeah, not every time, but like that moment when the cops start shooting at him when he arrives at like Oscorp,
and he just rips it off right away.
And he rips it off. I'm like, nah, keep it on, man. This is what you're built for. But no, it was also in that era. This kind of breaks. What's that?
Oh, it was in that era of like comic book costumes are like, you don't make them comic booky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. It looked. I think him ripping it off in that moment was more of like embracing who he was, more than just like let's get the funny comic book outfit off.
The Netflix Marvel shows were a big component of that. Like, don't give him a glimpse and like, this looks like I'll look like a damn fool, and then he just like takes off. You know,
what'd you expect? Yellow spandex. You know.
Yes, Scott, I did. Please put it on.
Please do it. But it's fascinating. This movie kind of breaks a mold for comic book movies where, typically a comic book movie is only as strong as its antagonist. And I think that holds true for a lot of comic book movies. It's not a foolproof, surefire guarantee, obviously exemplified by this movie. But it is interesting that this movie succeeds so much for me on a personal note when I do think Green Goblin and Doc Ock and even Mysterio in Far From Home. Like I think we're looking at better villains in general when it comes to those movies, but not better movies, which is or more enjoyable movies, I should say, because like I said at the top, hard to compare Raimi to anything just because he's so unique a filmmaker. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting rather well with this one. Do we feel we're ready for the rating section, or do we have more to say? What's everybody feeling?
I guess I don't know if we've officially declared. I think it is just kind of true though. The character of the movie, I think it is just Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
That's what I have.
Spider-Man. It just the character. I mean, it is his origin story. He goes through the most character development. There is
or that guy.
Gwen. Gwen's nice, but she's kind of already who she is from the jump.
Yeah.
She's already just the confident, very smart, bright person she is, and she does go through her father's death and all, and then has to deal with Peter not being with her. But that's very quick at the end.
That's why I had to give Emma Stone the performance over Andrew, even though he's the embodiment of this character in every way of the books. She just elevated the material from not being a damsel in distress. Like that's why MJ does stuff in like the Tom Holland trilogy. She's not just there to, be captured by Vulture and stuff like that, or even like Mysterio and things like that.
But what a wonderful lineage of, the romantic interest in these Spider-Man movies. Kirsten Dunst to Emma Stone to Zendaya. They've got that shit on lock in terms of the performers there. I think that they all do they all do a good job with what they're dealt, to be sure.
Yeah.
And even the Gwen of the Raimi trilogy, Bryce Dallas Howard, baby.
She's beautiful too.
That is true.
Yeah.
And that's closer to the comic book version of Gwen, where she's kind of like, she's not super, like she's smart, but she's not like, she is the damsel of distress. She was supposed to be the original like ending, like I need to save Gwen from Venom and Sandman.
Yeah.
But Kirsten Dunst said,
"Wow."
Kirsten Dunst was like, "What?"
No,
even though I don't know, she seemed really turned off by it, even though she wanted to do it. I don't know.
Their relationship stuff is really weird. In the first movie, it's fine.
The romantic storyline in the Raimi trilogy is just up and down and up and down and up and down.
The chemistry between the two actors is not even remotely close.
Not even close. And Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst dated after the first.
Yeah, they were real. They were a real life couple too.
Yeah, like it's the tradition of Spider-Man and love interest.
It has to happen, Who I wonder what the next we're getting Madam Web. Maybe we'll have a polyamorous relationship between three Spider. I don't know if it'll hold true for this Spider-Man movie.
They're going to reveal that the Sony Universe Spider-Man is Glenn Powell, and the Anyone But You romantic comedy is going to become a Sony Spider-Verse film, and a post-credit scene.
That's actually what the next Spider-Verse movie's leading to, is what Sony's going to say is they're just going to open it up to the real world. That's going to become one of their universes, is they actually come into our world and then take some real celebrities.
I'm looking forward to Madam Web, but don't do that shit.
Oh, God. I like to theorize.
It'll be fun. If anything else, that's what the Sony Spider-Verse, movies have kind of provided for us. I've always had a good time. They might not be fantastic, but they've been fun.
They're dumb fun.
Yeah. Turn your brain off, sit back, kind of pay attention, kind of look at your phone, have a good time. This is not one of those. This is I think comfortably, aside from the animation, the best Sony Spider-Verse film. With ease. It's incredible. It's incredibly well done, and I think that Mark Webb, I don't know that he gets enough credit. I don't think he gets enough credit for this
Definitely
at all.
Does not. You got gypped in the end.
Oh yeah.
And so did Andrew Garfield. you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sad. Like, I don't know. He's the one that clearly loves the character the most, you know? Like, he has a different passion than Toby and Tom Holland do. I think Tom likes Spider-Man. I think he's probably closer to Andrew, but Andrew just, I don't know. It feels like he was like Tom, like his childhood dream got, he always wanted to be Spider-Man. I guess it's the same thing, but I think it just comes maybe just on screen differently. It comes through with Andrew that he's living his dream, like playing this role. Like it would, I don't know, and he killed it. So I don't know. I'm there. I'm at the top. This is the top of the Spidey list for me. If we are excluding animation.
Of the 47 movies we've covered so far now, it falls at 4th.
Number 2 from me. Bring it up 2 more notches. The only movie I put this below is The Dark Knight. For me, comic book wise, that we've covered.
I've got it below The Dark Knight, Superman 78, and my 3-4 are kind of interchangeable. I think that I would sooner revisit this, but the anti-fascist streak of Captain America, the First Avenger, really, really does it for me.
Good film.
I love that movie, man. I love that. And another one that I loved it a lot more than I remembered I loved it. So it was like those movies are kind of rising up the list. But yeah, I think with that, we might be ready for the rating section of this here podcast. We've made it a lot less convoluted since the last time you were here, Blaine.
Oh, geez. All right, cool.
Only 2 ratings. Only 2 ratings.
Oh, 1 sick. To 10. That's even better than last time.
Yeah. Instead of 4, it's now 2. It's so much simpler. Enjoyment-wise, on a scale of 1 to 10, just how much you like the film, and then critically, all things considered, performances, cinematography, score, editing, anything that you think makes a movie critically well done. How is it doing 1 to 10? We'll start with enjoyment. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 here?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't love this movie. Like I said, this is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I've watched this more times than I can count. It's going to be a 10 for me, as a fan of the character. Now if we're going to look at things critically, I'm going to lower it down a little bit. I'm going to give it a solid probably 8. There are a lot of things where if I were in that writing room, I'd probably give it another pass on some things, have things looked at a little bit differently. And all my reasons had been listed throughout this podcast episode so far. So I'm comfortably sitting at like an 8. It's a good movie. I think cinematography is great. Editing, pace is good. It's where the writing is where I think I would have another go at some things.
That's where it falls, and it doesn't falter completely. I think you're right there. Like, it has strengths, but it certainly has weaknesses, and I think that's fair. With the way that we weigh things, that would make your rating of this movie an 87%, which would be quite.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Joe, let's do it. How you feeling? I think I know how you're feeling.
I mean, on my list, I had the first Tobey Spider-Man. It was at my 2, and then the reason I have this at 2 right now is because I do in fact think it is my favorite Spider-Man movie. So by that logic alone, it just had to go above it. And where Tobey's is, I do agree with as well. And we gave Tobey's a 9.75 enjoyment. And man, that's the thing, is that like I cry more in this one, and I have nostalgia cries in the Tobey movie, but I just cry more because you're supposed to cry during these moments.
Yeah, right.
Like
it's not like
in this movie. So it has that.
Kid. Yeah.
It has all of the origin stuff where he's freak. I think that's the one thing. I think I do like Tobey's origin stuff that he goes through a little bit more. Like whenever like the go web go fly, whenever he swings for the first time, whenever he's in his room and the webs are just everywhere. I think I do, and like him drawing the costume, I think like his origin montage is a little bit more enjoyable, just a little bit. But like as far as the entire movie's concerned, I think, I don't know, I'm right either there or above it, which is either a 9.75 or a 10.
I have hesitation for the 10. I am comfortable with a 9.75 though.
And that was what I was saying, is that if it is either a 9.75 or 10, that means there is some hesitation for me as well. And just putting on the same Dark Knight, I mean, that's just, I don't know. I mean, there's not many movies that can stack up to that one. And this one is actually the closest that we've come across so far for me, enjoyment-wise, and I just don't think it's quite The Dark Knight. Because it has all of the stuff that this movie has, but it also is critically done so well that it makes the enjoyment that much better while you're watching. So I think I'm at a 9.75.
All right, I'm comfortable with that. I'm very, very cool with that. Yeah, I don't. It is interesting rationalizing it like that. I'd thought the Spider-Man was at a 9.5. I didn't realize that we gave that a 9.75. But regardless, that's cool with me.
I believe that's right. Maybe I didn't change it whenever we were doing our little switches, but I think that's right.
I think it's right.
Spider-Man, yeah, 9.75. Enjoy.
That's fine. Like, I like that movie a great deal, so that's fine with me. Let's see. Critically, Blaine's 8 is probably my ceiling.
Yeah, that puts it on First Class, V for Vendetta, X2 levels, which are
that's
and
pretty good.
First Class is probably the best X-Men movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like it, man. I love me some First Class. That's the one I enjoy the most.
That's the one that's unseated in my 4 spot. First Class is at 5. So
Spider-Man
right
2.
there.
And the first Avenger would be the next step down at a 7.75. Toby, Spider-Man 2, and Caps.
I would be okay with either a 7.75 or an 8. Both of those feel right to me. It just depends what group of movies you think it kind of belongs with more. Because I'd be cool with either.
Trying to compare it, to Spider-Man 2. I think that's probably the easiest comparison we can make.
It's a better movie than
out
Spider-Man
of these
2. I'll tell you that.
I think it is. Like it's performed better. Even with the writing flaws that we have, I still think it is written better.
I don't
than
think
Spider-Man
it has
2.
quite as many writing flaws as Spider-Man 2.
So yeah, I think 8 is actually more fitting here.
The romance is immensely more compelling.
Yeah.
Like performances. I enjoy Tobey Maguire a great deal, but I don't think he holds a candle to Andrew Garfield. I just don't.
I love Tobey, but
I love Alfred Molina. That would probably be the one thing Spider-Man 2 has up on this movie is the portrayal of the villain. I think that Alfred Molina as Doc Ock is magnificent. So it's hard. It's hard. And I hesitated to agree with Blaine earlier about the Sally Field being the best Aunt May thing. I think Rosemary Harris is fucking great.
Rosemary Harris does a great job. I just think they gave Sally Field more emotional things to do with Peter, like especially and I'm obviously I'm thinking more in the second movie than I am probably the first. But like I couldn't see Rosemary Harris and like this Peter Parker. I couldn't see Rosemary Harris defending like his choices, like, and it's okay, like you don't have to be so hard on him. Like, yeah, well, Martin Sheen, Uncle Ben is going to be like,
that
come on, you made a promise to me, and like this was the thing that we had discussed.
That was a great moment. I'd forgotten about that. So yeah, no, but they're easily. I also love Marissa Tomei, but not for completely different reasons.
They're all getting younger as time goes on. Aunt May has just gotten hotter and hotter every time. Every time it's just happened.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, there's no. Obviously, happy Jon Favreau, who's slightly in charge of Marvel, is going to put him with Aunt May. Any chance he could get. Obviously there, but yeah, no, that's the supporting cast around Andrew is just incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah, everybody's cast really well.
So yeah, it shakes this one out to an 8.58, so an 86%. If we're going there, which puts it at number 5 overall, only below Batman Begins, at an 8.75, as well as the first Spider-Man at an 8.75, and then Superman at an 8.83, and The Dark Knight at a 9.83. So
I can get with that.
there we
Top
are.
5 being all Batman, Spider-Man, and Superman. That makes sense. That's how it
Big
goes.
three.
Dude. Those are the big 3 of the comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be it. They gotta be it. But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom podcast. If you would, come on back next week as we will continue Winter is Blooming, our Game of Thrones rewatch podcast. I believe we're kicking off season 7 next week, right? Is that where we're at?
That's
We're
right.
almost done.
Season 7,
We're almost
episode
done.
1.
Thank the Lord. I've had a great time doing that project, but it is a long project.
It's stretching it out. Yeah.
And we will
one
continue
episode a week. A long
yes.
time.
Yeah.
Whenever you
Since
space it
Halloween
out.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
It's officially
That's how long you
branching.
guys been doing that one?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Branching 3 calendar years now.
Yeah. Game of Thrones, the show, isn't for me, but I love the coverage you guys have done. I listened to a few of them. You guys do a great job covering them. So
Thank you, man. Thank you. I
very
appreciate
much.
that greatly. Yeah, so we're doing that on Mondays, and we'll be back with another 2 episodes of the comic book movie Journey Through Film next week, which I believe brings us to Iron Man 3 and The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be joined by Kyler Barnett for Iron Man 3, and Claire DeGeneiro will be making her return for The Dark Knight Rises. So I'm very excited for that.
you guys are pushing Iron Man 3 up more? Wasn't that released in 2013?
I got at least it seems that it's the next movie on the list, at least that I have. Whenever we created,
I guess
this.
we are going off the sheet Joe has concocted.
This is true. Because the next
it might be Rises
Dark
and
Knight
then
Rises.
Iron Man 3.
It looks like July 20th, 2012 is the date I have for the movie release. And then Iron Man 3 is May 2013.
Okay.
As well as Man of Steel would be after that, May 2013.
Oh, so we're doing Dark Knight Rises next Wednesday, Iron Man 3 next Friday.
No. It is. Oh, it should be that. Yes, it's wrong on the calendar, not the sheet, I think.
There we go. That makes more sense. Because I was like, Iron Man 3 definitely didn't come out the same year as the Avengers. It was definitely a year later.
No, I was going to say Thor and Iron Man 3 came out the same year.
Thank you very much for catching that. Yeah,
that's huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then when's the Amazing Spider-Man 2 due up, or I guess
Right
Man of Steel? Oh wait, you wanted to be a part of Batman versus Superman, which is a little.
I'll be part of Man of Steel if you want me there too. I'll talk all the DCEU films if you want me there. I don't care.
Okay, okay.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It is not the end of this month, but the first episode of next month. It is February 2nd.
And we're probably only a couple weeks away from recording that as well, Blaine. So we'll be seeing you.
I've got a surprise in store for you guys on that one. Not that your viewers will see it, but you two will see it. So
cool. Love it. I can't wait.
It's going to be a deep cut reference.
I love that. Like I love a deep cut reference.
I'm ready for it.
But yeah, you'll be back for that, and I'm so very excited. But yeah, with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. For $3 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it, unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast, follow on Letterboxd at PennyBloomPod. Got a nice list of every movie we have ever covered on there with links and everything. It's very satisfying. Let's see. Yeah, remember to leave a 5-star rate and review and to continue downloading episodes. We're off to a great start in 2024. January has already been quite nice to us, so I'm very satisfied with that. Yeah, with that, Blaine, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and plug yourself. What you got going on right now?
Well, you can follow my personal page at Blaine Rezach. It's my first and last name. And if you're feeling a little into the supernatural, I've started a ghost hunting group.
Yeah.
We're called Ghosts and Us. You can follow us at Ghosts and Us everywhere on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, things like that. It's growing. I've got a video that'll be coming out, I'm hoping, at the end of at the time of recording this week. So we've got some cool stuff going. I know it's probably not up anybody's wheelhouse that's on your channel, but I'm quite proud of everything that we do. So
hey,
yeah,
I'm on the channel, and that's right up my wheelhouse. I was obsessed with ghost shows as a kid, like Ghost Adventurers,
yeah,
like
dude.
people going to haunted houses, locking themselves in there for the night.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, tell me
we
about
just
it.
So fun.
I live in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin. My friend and I, we just drove over the New Year's weekend. We drove to Jerseyville, Illinois, which is on the Missouri-Illinois border almost.
Okay.
So like we drove 8 hours just to go to a place
That's
for
awesome.
a weekend.
That's sick. That's dedication there.
That's so
Yeah,
fun.
bro. And it's probably my favorite video that that's the video I'm editing right now. It's probably my favorite video I've put together yet so far.
Awesome.
I've also
Yeah,
got a podcast for that channel if anybody wants to listen. It's the same thing Ghosts and Us, so.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm super proud of you for pursuing that and dedicating yourself to it like that. I've been seeing the stuff on Twitter, and it's exciting to see. You know, it's fun whenever, because we came into contact with each other almost 2 years ago now because of the podcast.
Oh shit, yeah.
Which is kind of fucking crazy. It's just nice to see people grow and do their things. I saw that you're also playing Dr. Frankenfurter in the.
I did do that, yeah.
That was so cool. I love that. I love Rocky.
That was
Horror
back in
Picture Show.
October. I got to play a dream role of mine. So
that's so baller. I love that movie so much. So it was so cool to see. But yeah, with that, we'll conclude this episode. If you would, remember, peace, love, and bloom. And if you can do good things, you have a moral obligation to do those things.